In other words, what we got to do here today, we got to start learning what it takes to get constitutional government back. And we need a government that'll obey the will of the people. How many of you feel the government listens to you? On health care, I've heard anywhere from 67 to 83% of the people don't want it. What's government going to do about it? They're going to try to ramrod it down our throat. Are they speaking for us? And the answer is no. You know, you look to 1994, the Republican landslide. They say, you know what? If you'll go out there and get active and get the right people in Congress and get the right people, you can change it. Well, what happened when the Republicans got in 94? Did it even slow down the process, or did it actually speed up? And I'm talking about the moral decline of the country. It sped up after we did what they said we needed to do to fix it. There's a huge obstacle in the way to remedy. You cannot remedy a problem if you don't know what the problem is. And what I want to do today is show you what the problem really is, so that you can start focusing on a real remedy. What I want to do is, we brought up all these topics up here, and I want to, because we have people in here fighting abortion, we have people fighting Second Amendment issues, we have people fighting anchor baby, concepts. We've got the gay marriage concepts going. I've got a solution that'll do this. Takes all these issues that it takes millions and millions of dollars to fight individually, because you got all sorts of people fighting and groups fighting this case or the results of those cases, fighting those, and what we want to do is put them all together, because that's the 14th Amendment. If we can get rid of the 14th Amendment, we'll get rid of all of those. All of them. What would that do to America? Get rid of abortion, get rid of the anchor babies, get rid of the gay rights stuff. You can put prayer back in schools.
Freedom.
What would that do?
Freedom.
Yeah.
It's 14th Amendment. How did this happen to us? Oh, I love that. Wait a second. I know I'm really, really short on time, but I love that. Yes, we can do it, can't we? If we know. Yes, we can. Oh, by the way, I've got to thank a couple of people here. First of all, I want to thank David and the council, the group that met and allowed me to speak here. And Cliff Muncie web designer, guy who did all these slides for me. We put this whole presentation together in a week. This man right there. Thank you. Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. What's going on here? Okay, this is I need to move. I don't stand still well. Ask my wife. Okay. Oh no, I've done this before. What this is a law graph, and what we have is God at the top. This is where our nation was founded. We have God at the top, and this works on the principle that you have the creator and the created. Right. Whatever is created cannot violate its creator. Amen. Cannot do it. And you got God. God has God's laws. God created man, and He allows man to have man's laws as long as they don't violate God's laws. I mean, that's the way it is. And in this country, we decided to have organized man's laws and state constitutions. We got state citizens. They got together and created the federal government. And we have the federal constitution here. We have Articles 1 through 7 and the Bill of Rights here. And what these squares represent are lawfully delegated powers. They're actually operating in accordance with what they're supposed to do. And what we have right here, need another hand here. What we have right there, and what those circles are an unconstitutional act. And based off of that unconstitutional act, and what I'm here to tell you is that's Reconstruction. And that's the 14th Amendment. And based off of that, they can pass all sorts of things that are unconstitutional, start violating what's above them, starts violating the state, start violating God's laws. And they can do also, and it grows like a cancer. And this is what we've got in this country today. Let's say this is, Second Amendment, Brady Bill stuff. We got hundreds of millions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of man-hours trying to fight that one circle. We got people trying to fight immigration, illegal immigration out here. We got people trying to fight gay marriage over here. Well, if we can hack at the root, we can fix this problem. Because what we really have is this. This is the way our nation looks today. We have the cancer that's been growing, and it's growing bigger and bigger and bigger. It's on top. The federal government is over the state governments. And God, they just want to wipe him off the map. Okay? So we have flipped this country over. We're not operating the way it was founded by our founding fathers. The answer is to focus on the fourth branch of government. We have the legislative, executive, and judicial. What's the fourth branch? No, the people. Us. Why does the government exist?
Because we made it.
Because of us. We create the government. They're supposed to be our servant, not our master. The people. We're the fourth branch. Don't say the media is the fourth branch. That's what they want you to believe. We're the fourth branch. And what do they want to do? They want to keep us quiet. Don't talk so loud. Don't get upset. Don't be angry. They'll say angry white men, but hey, we're angry citizens.
Amen.
And we have a right to be angry at some things. Let's talk about, let's define something, an unconstitutional act. This is a U.S. Supreme Court case, Norton versus Shelby County. An unconstitutional act is not a law. It confers no rights. It imposes no duties. It affords no protection. It creates no office. It is in legal contemplation as inoperative as though it had never been passed. Therefore, an unconstitutional act purporting to create an office gives no validity to the acts of persons acting under color of its authority. Remember that. That's a United States Supreme Court case. There's another one down there. My research led me to this document right here. This is a United States Senate report. Senate report number 93-549 came out November 1973. And it says this. This is the very first sentence of this Senate report. A majority of the people of the United States have lived all their lives under emergency rule. For 40 years, freedoms and governmental procedures guaranteed by the Constitution have, in varying degrees, been abridged by laws brought into force by states of national emergency. And in the United States, actions taken by the government in times of great crisis have, from at least the Civil War, in important ways shaped the present phenomenon of a permanent state of national emergency. This is 1973. I was in high school then. Was I taught this? How many of y'all were taught this?
No.
Now this goes back to, can you remedy something if you don't know what the problem is?
That's right.
What is a state of emergency? A state of emergency, government operates in one of two modes. Either peacetime modes, where all the laws and all your rights and all procedures are in full force and effect, or an emergency mode to where some of them are suspended and some freedoms are lost and some procedures are lost, like habeas corpus. And it says here that a majority of the people of the United States have lived all their lives under emergency rule. And they're going back 40 years, from 1973, that goes back to 1933 is what they're talking about. But then they also say it's from at least the Civil War, has important ways at the present phenomenon of a permanent. Now does that say a state of emergency that can be repealed? And we can go back on? No, this is progressive people. We're losing. They're admitting, the United States Senate is admitting right there, we're losing our country. Yep. The federal government does not recognize the Constitution as binding. I came across this other document called the Williamsburg Resolves. And the Williamsburg Resolves says this: here and in other colonial capitals, the nation's founders first debated the idea of independence and the fundamental principles of freedom. Then the challenge to the liberties of the people came from an arrogant, overbearing monarchy across the sea. Today that challenge comes from our own federal government. A government that has defied and that now ignores virtually every constitutional limit fashioned by the framers to confine its reach and thus guard the freedoms of the people. Now, what is this document? I didn't tell you what it is. Look right here. It's the Republican Governors Conference of 1994. So you got the Republican governors coming together saying the federal government defies and ignores every constitutional limit. Is the Constitution the fundamental law of the land? Is anyone allowed to violate it? No. Well, who's going to stop them? The fourth branch. But how are we going to do it? With knowledge and purposefully. I need a regular mic here.